Well, Catherine, they're going through a range of emotions. We reached out to the family. They weren't able to talk to us because it's possible that they could be testifying here in Clark County when that trial begins. But supporters of transgender rights activists say there's a lot riding on this trial. It's been more than 2 years since Nikki Kuhnhausen disappeared. But the pain of her loss is still being felt by her family and loved ones, especially her mother, Lisa.
She never left my side.
Mickey Gillette is with Basic Rights Oregon, an LGBTQ rights organization. Over the years, she's also gotten very close with the family following Kuhnhausen's disappearance and death.
It's a loss. Knowing Lisa like I do, it's a loss that still really weighs on her heart.
Kuhnhausen was only 18 when she disappeared in June 2019. Her remains were found nearly 6 months later on Larch Mountain in a remote part of northeast Clark County. Shortly after the discovery, David Bogdanov was arrested and charged. With the trial scheduled to begin tomorrow, Gillette says a lot is at risk.
I think there's a fear that the case might be ugly and that Nikki might be blamed for her own death. If there have been statements that Bogdanov has made to the police about being disturbed when he learned that Nikki was transgender.
After Nikki's death, Washington passed the Nikki Kuhnhausen Act, which outlaws the use of the LGBTQ panic defense by defendants accused of harming or killing trans or gay victims. Oregon has since passed a similar law, but what Nikki's loved ones are seeking now is justice.
There are a lot of cases where a suspect is never identified, where it just seems like a life is lost and it doesn't matter. And so it is heartening to see that, there is at least a mechanism for accountability in Nikki's killing.
Now, while the trial is scheduled to begin tomorrow, it will start off with jury selection, and that is expected to last a few days. So it's possible that opening statements won't actually begin until Wednesday of this week.
Steve, city leaders say it's about making sure they spend the money responsibly and get it to the right people. That's why there's been such a long time since that ordinance passed. I spoke with the community safety director about this process.
This week is more proof of the broad impact of gun violence in Portland. A deadly shooting on a TriMet bus and another double homicide near a homeless camp are two recent examples. The City Council's April response to the violence is mostly made up of long-term investments in community-based organizations. So, what's the progress on that funding? Here's a breakdown. Council approved spending $4.1 million for grants. The city sent out just over $1 million of that by mid-May. Another $2 million is set to go out this month in $500,000 grants to 4 organizations. That leaves just over $1 million for other groups. However, the city says the total left is slightly higher. I spoke to Community Safety Director Mike Myers about the timeline, given how frequently the city is seeing gun violence.
We're investing a lot of public dollars here, some federal dollars. We want to make sure we're investing those dollars appropriately and that we are getting the appropriate performance back. And I think that's just good business.
Myers says that means setting up metrics to make sure the money is spent correctly by these organizations. They've also been waiting on those groups to give the scope of their work to the city. Myers says city leaders will start taking applications for the remaining $1 million in funding this month or next.
So on that $2 million that could go out as soon as next week, we're getting some information from organizations on how they will spend that money. We're working on that part of the story for you coming up on KG News at 6. But city commissioners are split on the police role. Some say police can't prevent shootings. They just need to focus on responding to them and solving them. But this week, Commissioner Mingus Mapps told his fellow council members it was time to, quote, get real.
This shooting near a northeast Portland bus stop, just one crime in what proved to be a violent week in Portland. The week started with a deadly shooting on a TriMet bus. The next day, 2 people killed in northeast Portland near a homeless camp. The city is on pace for another record-breaking year of gun violence. I rode along with Portland Police Acting Lieutenant Ken Dulio earlier this summer to discuss how he believes police can help. He says proactive patrols in areas that see shootings impact more than just the people who are stopped.
There's also a deterrent effect for other people who may want to freely carry guns and, drive around the city looking for rivals to shoot, because now they have to be worried, the police are out there. looking for them and being proactive.
City commissioners disbanded the gun violence reduction team last summer amid concerns officers were targeting black people. Now the city is putting a patrol team back together with more community oversight. This week, the police chief tapped Dulio to lead the new unit. The Bureau is now looking for 2 sergeants and 12 officers to man the team.
The Portland Police Bureau can reduce shootings and reduce more murders if we're adequately staffed, properly funded, and properly supported. There's no doubt in my mind.
This is part of a broad city council plan to address violence that's become all too common. The city also plans to send out $2 million to community-based groups as early as next week. Still, some say that won't have an immediate impact on the gun violence. Commissioner Mingus Maps saying this week, quote, prevention is a forward-thinking and progressive approach that will have an impact in the medium and long term. We also need to admit that law enforcement has an essential role in interrupting this cycle of homicides. He went on to say City Council needs to get real and recognize that there are good police officers that specialize in this type of work.
That statement right there from Commissioner Maps is the strongest yet we've heard from any city commissioner in support of adding resources or people to the police bureau. Catherine, it will take at least 3 council votes to do that. We're live in Northeast Portland. Right, Gazaway, Katu News.
We know you'll be following it, right? Thank you. More on that police investigation from last night. Portland police say that they are looking for whoever shot a woman outside of a gas station. This was on Northeast Broadway near Grand right after 10 o'clock. Officers say they found a woman who was seriously hurt. She was sent to the hospital and is expected to recover. The FBI and ATF are assisting. PPB says there have been 759 confirmed gunfire incidents since the beginning of the year, and nearly 248 people have been hurt.
Well, Catherine, Jonathan Weber was getting paid to help somebody move from this Northeast neighborhood, but when he finished the job for the day and came back to his car, which was parked right here, he realized that his catalytic converter had been stolen. It had to be towed from this exact spot. Now he's out thousands.
So I got it.
Well, Jonathan Weber is inside a Northeast Portland home. The sound of a saw echoes through the neighborhood. This video, captured by a neighbor's doorbell camera, shows a pickup truck parked next to Weber's red van. The sound of the saw drones on for about a minute. Then you can hear someone yell out. Then the car door to the pickup truck opens and closes. But without being able to get a good look at the person or people involved, Weber isn't optimistic that his catalytic converter or the people responsible will be found.
The loss of this money is a month and a half worth of work, and it's so disheartening. Like, I don't even want to go back to work because I know the money is going to be paying for this theft. But at the same time, I have to go back to work because I need to pay for it.
Weber reported the theft to Portland police. Katu has reached out for more information, but we have not yet heard back. Now, if you recognize the pickup truck or have any information about this catalytic converter theft, reach out to Portland police.